Well, greetings everybody, and welcome back to how many weeks it's been. We have been taking our little summer break, and here in Britain, the summer has just started, and it's a mega one. But technically, we're back for the autumn. Indeed, we are. A busy time as well. This is the Inworld Review, where we look at arts and destinations in opensim, stuff that's on the hypergrid, really. We're best friends here with Hypergrid Safari, which is a little club that goes around the arts and destinations. Same trick, really. And exciting times out by all. But more importantly, an exciting time is being had generally. They talk about the autumn conference season and stuff, don't they? But we got coming up shortly the Open Sim Festival, OS Fest as it's called, which we're going to be talking about today. In beginning of next month, we have the Hypergrid International Expo, which Thesa and I work on. And kind of beginning of December, there's also the Open Sim Community Conference. So maybe somebody will cough up something in November. That's the missing month at the moment.
Missing month.
But also incidentally, unrelated to us, there's a lot of things happening in the real world, so to speak, conferences looking at XR and stuff like that. Good job we are back in a way. I will introduce who we got here, first of all. I think you may know most of us, but not all of us. On my, what is it, right hand side, as I'm looking at him, it's James Atloud, who's my knob fiddler. Well, not mine old fiddler, you understand. He
Just a
plays
knob
that.
fiddler at large. That's right.
Yes, knob fiddler at large. He basically handles all the audio stream and the video angles and all that sort of stuff behind the scenes to keep us all lively and going. Something a little bit better than talking heads, as we say.
Hmm.
Welcome, James. Welcome back in many respects.
All right. Thanks, Mel.
On my left-hand side is none other than the superstar Thesa Ember, who she of Hypergrid Safari, and she of Inworld Review, of course. And
I'm
she,
not
she
a
also,
superstar. That's for nonsense. But I also know how to twiddle knobs if required. So, James, if you ever need a break, I'm happy to help out.
Oh, good to know.
I
Definitely.
could break everything, but yeah, I'm very happy to be back. Thank you, Mel.
yeah, I was being flippant when I said superstar. You're a super babe. No, that's even worse. Okay, forget I said anything. Welcome back, Thesa. Anyway,
Thank you. Very happy to
okay.
be here.
And we'll introduce them a bit more fully a bit later, but we have two guests here on the couch. We have Luna Lunaria. Welcome, Luna.
Yay!
Hey guys.
And we have Apelles Luna, who is also Luna. Hi, I'm blowing it. Hello,
Who will be doing all the speaking for Luna?
Excellent.
It's a strange world, isn't it? I think, though there's a beg to differ, but I think this is the first time we've had a double person on. In other words, two
Oh, I
avatars,
think so. Yeah, no,
two
definitely.
avatars who are the same person by way.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we'll come back to that.
Soulmates.
We'll come back to that in a little while. Meanwhile, I'm going to pan out a little bit here. Oh, I just realised something, but never mind. Okay. Um, we usually start this show off with a quick roundup of things, unrelated to our guests, which is basically just what's happening on the hypergrid and stuff. On the screen behind me, in fact, very quickly, because that's we only need them for a few things. I'll to also point you to Thursday's blog, which is HG Safari, HGSAFARI blogspot.com. She had one recent post here about the OS Fest is coming. Um, and she's got a more recent post about our Hypergrid International Expo, cunningly titled Getting High in Open Sim. Though I think you're meant to come and listen to the events, actually, but yeah. And also, the Hypergrid Safari itself started midweek last week. So we've got two reports again from Thesa on Wee Falconshire and Magic in Panthalassa. Get there one day, won't we? So those are well checking out. So that's all at hgsafari.blogspot.com. And am I right, sir? So the address for the HIE itself is hieblogspot.com?
No, it's a high expo. Yeah, well, maybe we could put it in the
Lower third.
description
Yeah,
of this
well,
video so that people will have a link.
yeah. We'll cover that later. Anyway, I won't be coming back to these, I doubt. So hgsafariblogspot.com for the latest on Safari, a lot on the HIE, which also has its own blog, and of course OS Fest is coming here. So having said all that, I will put it away and return to our other screen. Okay, so let's get started with all the latest news and coming events for this coming week. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Thursday for, wait for it, Hypergrid Happenings.
Yeah, welcome back, Hypergrid Happenings. So yes, we are back in the world of events happening all around opensim, and the first thing you may like to know is right now in this moment here on OS Grid there is the Jazz and Blues Festival happening. It's going to be going on for a couple of hours after this show finishes. It's organised by Forest Azure and Poppy, of course, over there on their special region that has been sponsored by Masala Estates, and Poppy built the actual build with the record player and so forth, and she's got they have a bunch of people playing both live and some great DJs. So if you missed it yesterday and you haven't been yet, today would be a good day to run over there and get yourself some blues and jazz. Another thing that's happening this week tomorrow is a great party. If you have ever gone over to Club Poseidon, you probably know Karma Jewel, and you may know Crazy as well. They are celebrating their second anniversary. They've been together 2 years here in OS Grid, and so they're having a big old party tomorrow. That's in the evening European time, around 8 o'clock European time, so that's around 11 o'clock a.m. Second Life time, worth going to. There's the address right at the bottom. PC Club Region 2. Another thing that's happening, of course, tomorrow that's a lot less cheerful, and that is, of course, it's 9/11. And if you would like to remember that sad event and the heroic actions that followed it by all those wonderful people who helped deal with the tragedy, then run over to Littlefield Grid. They'll actually holding a ceremony right at the time when the tragedy began, which is at 5:46 a.m. Second Life time. So that's over on Littlefield Grid. That's a beautiful build. It's very somber, but it's exquisitely done, and you can really get the feel of the emotion that is associated with 9/11 over there. In another note, on Wednesday, of course, we have another safari. We're going to Iñiz Grid, and then we're going to run down to Tropicana right here on OS Grid and meet with Mike and Blanca Nieves, and they'll be telling us all about what Tropicana does for its residents here on OS Grid. And then, of course, we have to mention the big deal, which is, of course, OS Fest, which is starting this coming Friday, September the 15th. Boom, it'll be all over everything with many singers, many DJs, many merchants, many exhibitors of different kinds, sponsors, and events that are actually off the grid. We're going to hear much more about that today. So as you can see, it's a busy week.
Yeah.
And
so I would quickly mention, because I know you're unusually the port number for this grid is 8022. So
good point. Yes.
Do make a note of that. Yeah.
Yes, grid.opensimfest.com 8022 instead of 8002, which is what we're mostly used to. Good point, Mal. Anyway, as you can see, it's a busy week, and we're gearing up to an even more busy week, fortnight, and month in the next few weeks. But so, if you do have something that's coming up, an event that's happening, some kind of special project or a party, you've got some kind of art opening or a class that you're teaching, and you would like us to mention it on this particular section of Inworld Review, please let us know, and we'll mention it on Hypergrid Happenings.
Oh, I was just starting to bop there.
Right.
Never mind, never mind. Okay, thank you, Thursday, for the wonderful summary there. On our middle screen here, just basically very quickly, I've put up the webpage for a site called opensimworld.com. We do plug this a little bit, and since we've been on holiday, we ought to just tell you there. OpenSimWorld, OpenSimWorld.com. People have mixed feelings about it, but basically you can find different regions, events, and things like that. And I'm actually looking at latest regions here, but equally where are the events gone? I've lost them. There we are. Or you can actually go and look at their events and things. So quite a lot of information about what's going on OpenSim here. Obviously, we cover what we can, and they cover what they can. But these are mostly people who are residents of different sims, different regions, actually posting their own events rather than any Pacific grid-wide stuff. But a useful resource there anyway, just so I can mention it, basically. So moving on from that, I should just put that away. And here we are, the pics as it were. Right, this is just another version, I guess, of the poster. It's a nice gold color. This, I don't know how they did that, but it's a nice gold color. Right. We've been at OpenSim Fest now. What is it now? So it's a couple of years. Last year was a highlight for me because some musician actually dragged me onto stage to jam with him.
That's right.
But he didn't realise that he was on stream and I was on Inworld voice, and the two weren't exactly in sync. Well, it was memorable.
Yes, definitely.
Over and beyond that, I can't really comment, but memorable it was.
Musical, a bit less. Memorable, yes.
Yeah. So, our guest today basically is somebody who's very much involved. You're a sort of semi-organizer, aren't you, along with Shellen and whatever?
Yes, I'm one of the moderators.
Right. So, and you are known as Luna Lunaria, although your alter ego is the one speaking beside you, if I got that right. I think I've got that right.
Yes, you've got that right.
So there's a chap who does little video clips of all the sort of tests you do and things like that. Michael, I can't remember his second name, but he's got a different handle here. Yeah, he's got a different handle here anyway. But we've got a few of his videos from the last week. They're only about a minute long, most of them each, so it's not a huge marathon. But we can show, while we're talking, a little bit of that. Let's start. How did you become involved in this? I mean, I know that you personally have got some fantastic builds that we've looked at in the past on this show and elsewhere. But how come you actually got it? How did you get involved in this particular event?
Well, about 5 years ago, Avatar Fest came to an end, and the guys on my grid, Bill Blight and Leighton Marjoram at the time, decided they wanted to take it over and rename it as OpenSim Fest. So they had one in 2019. It was just a small single region affair, and we had good participation. And then the next year we decided to do it again in 2020, and it really became big that year. So at that point, I became the merchant organizer, and we brought in merchants for the first time for that fest, and did a lot of infrastructure building and things like that, and just sort of participated ever since then.
Right. It's sorry, it caught me off guard here. Right, okay. Well, I'm looking back from last year, and also some clips we've got of the builds in process this year. It's quite the central area where they have the performances was quite unique because there's actually 4 stages forming a kind of ring. So
Yes.
that they're in different regions, but what it meant is that when one performer finished, bit like Glastonbury or something else. You could, well, it's a longer walk at Glastonbury, to be honest, but you could walk over to the other side of the circle, as it were, without teleporting anywhere particular, and just move to the next stage, and so on and so forth. You know, something starts on one stage as it finishes on the other. So you've got the feeling that you're in one place, although with each of the acts, as it were, you're in, you know, 4 different stages. So they look pretty similar, except the colour of the curtains and things. But beyond that, from my recall, I mean, we did take Safari, Thursday would attest to this, to one region last year, and it was like a meditation region.
Yeah, I
But it
believe
was
you
Yes.
have that again
Yeah,
this
the
year.
Zen
Is it?
region. Yep.
yeah, it
Yes,
was very,
Mindful Mondays or something.
yeah, yeah. So there are lots of different areas, and there's a sort of an area where we've been given a little patch as well. What big patch? I don't know what we're going to do with it as well. But yeah, there's some odd sort of things going on. For example, the meditation area, for example, had quite a complex locking down of subparcels, which worked to advantage or disadvantage depending. And when we were doing a safari, we couldn't hear what was going on a couple of yards away, and hidden behind a bush.
I
Kind of
thought
thing.
it was a beautiful idea in a way, though, Mal,
Yeah,
because it means that if anybody's feeling a bit overwhelmed, they could just go
exactly.
there and nobody could see them and they could just have a moment of peace and quiet. And I imagine
Yeah.
she'll end with everything that's been uh, required for her to do. And also, of course, Luna too, and the other organisers. I'm sure there's been some moments where you're just like, oh, just
Oh,
leave me
yes.
alone,
Yes.
just stop.
Well,
Yep.
presumably you have a private admin zone with a mega meditation set up. That's a good idea. I reckon
That
Greenwood.
is, yeah. If only the
Green,
size made a difference. Yeah, I don't think it
I
would
can build
suffer.
that.
You can, yes, we know you can.
okay, I'm going to have a little bit of playing in the background here while we're talking. This film is well, 3 bit of clips here, all from an area called Quantium. Now, they're named after, what is it, chemical elements or something this year? Have I got it
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it's revolves around the concept of chemistry and community.
Right.
And so these are, I don't know exactly why these particular elements were chosen, other than they do work together in some fashions, but you'd have to ask Shellen that question.
Yeah.
But each of the regions is named after a particular element um, in that
I was really
concoction.
expecting the bad guys to be over on sulfur. And
Don't
they
tell
should
the
be there
merchants
together,
that.
right? The terrible people.
Oh, gosh.
Or maybe the really good people because the devil has the best music. So
Yeah,
it's the place
that's
to
where we
go.
send. That's where we send the ones who are causing trouble. All the griefers end up
I,
there.
I'm definitely going there. That sounds like my kind of a place. Sulfur.
Well, we've got
Yeah.
got sulfur coming up in a minute. So, and of course, unobtainium. I love that word.
Oh yeah.
Read offline kind of thing, but it's not. It's that's
Yeah,
actually the region we've got our parcel on or something. This is Quantum again, so I guess it's a pretty big region. There's a lot of variety.
yeah.
These are
Quantium is the big exhibit region. It's also unique because they're running Bullet Sim and X Engine there instead of the Abode and Y Engine, which are run everywhere else.
Oh, cool.
that's great. Actually,
Now,
should we
just remind us, the general theme of this year's event is the jazz age, isn't it? Jazz in general.
Yes,
I
yes,
guess almost almost going on for a century of jazz in its
yes.
various
Yeah, it covers a
evolutions.
lot of ground. Yeah.
So, whose idea was that? How did that come to be? Do you know?
It started in our Discord chat. We had a poll, and probably 5 or 6 themes were presented, and everyone got a chance to vote. And this one won the vote.
Because it really does cover a huge amount of music and styles.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's I'm a fan of all this. I mean, blues Absolutely, and I listen to jazz all the while these days, so it can be better. But also, of course, as I mentioned, there's another jazz and blues festival on at the moment in OpenSim, so it's almost become a seasonal theme. Going from one event to another with the same theme could be a nice bit of
That's right.
linkage,
And
as
of
they
course,
say.
Forrest's event was inspired by that huge build by Nick Green
Oh yeah,
for
Hmm.
jazz that he
Yeah.
built
Yes.
around the time we did a safari based on International Jazz Day, and he just being Nick's, just in a few hours managed to make something fabulous. And
Yeah, he's a fabulous
after
artist.
Forrest, he's amazing. And on the strength of seeing that, of course, Forrest was inspired because she's a jazz and blues singer in real life. So that's how that kind of came together. So great minds think alike.
Hmm. Now, not every exhibit will follow the theme. The exhibitors are asked to follow the theme, as much as possible. Of course, the theme is pretty wide open. Um, the merchants don't necessarily have to follow it. Some of them will, some of them won't.
okay. This next one, by the way, is sulfur. Sorry, sulfur. Nothing. Not even
That's my new
related.
nickname
Oh my
now.
God.
Uh oh.
Surfing
I
sulfur.
respond to that. It's okay.
Yeah. I don't know where the devil is yet, but we'll see. The devil's in the detail, so we will look at the detail. What does that say, Meta? Oh, dear. Can't read the thing. Oh, this is So is this is this a region that has no land? In other words, is this a sort of flying, floating region, or don't you know?
No, they've simply built a huge skybox around the display.
Right, and then the displays in the ship here.
Yes.
Oh, very good. Resistance is fun. Yes. Okay. Now it's sinking in. I see the detail. Privatized space mining. I've got to. I'm meaning to watch that. What's it called? One Piece.
Oh, I saw
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
Yep.
live action adaptation of the
Yes,
manga. Sort of. That's about space pirates, isn't it? Or pirates, at least.
it is. It's
Uh,
based off a popular anime of the same name.
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, I've not done the anime. Okay, this next one it's probably worth me hey, come on, where is it? Can't find it. Okay. Oh, I see what it is, and it's not. Okay, it's further down here. No. Yes, this is right. This is an MP4. So where? Okay, this is supposed to be a promo for it, but it doesn't look like it's in much of a mood for
I have a
promo.
question for Luna. So I know you organise the merchants. Um, is that mostly people from Kitely, or which grids are represented in the merchants part of this event?
There are actually merchants from multiple grids that are participating this year. Kitely has a large group. There are merchants from Utopia Sky Grid, from DigiWorlds, from Wolf Territories, and about a handful, three or four others as well. So quite a few grids are participating as far as the
That's
merchants.
that's cool. So they get to meet each other and compare
Yes,
experiences
yes.
from one grid
Yeah,
to
before
another.
we
That's really
first
cool.
did it back in 2020 with the merchants, it was a pretty disparate group and they never talked or communicated with each other. And
Mhm.
now I'm good friends with a lot of them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really the secret of the whole thing, isn't it?
Yep.
As the name says, the chemistry of community. We really need to get out and meet each other, and it
Mhm.
often creates some wonderful new friendships, and at least a comprehension between one person and another, because so much of the
Mhm.
difficulties that we all have as human
Yep.
beings is quite often we just really don't understand the other person,
Right.
and that messes up a lot of
Yeah.
Right.
potentially great relationships.
Hmm. There's a great group of merchants from Kitely. They're probably the largest group participating this year. Very close, very helpful. I mean, just a great group of people.
It's the other interesting thing about this OS Fest, as opposed to, say, Hypergrid International Expo, which is European. It's visual based, but it's fun, but it's seriously sort of too. And then OpenSim Community Festival is pretty much serious by nature. Whereas this is the one fest, with the possible exception of a couple of weeks ago, there were OS Grid had their own sort of birthday fest. But this is the one that's fun, really, isn't it? It's where the
Yes.
residents come here to party. They're not.
Yep.
They may be showing off. They may be showing off artwork and things too, but they can do that other places. Whereas here, they can just come and party. There's
And there's also
no secret
I
room
love
to
it.
get serious.
absolutely, and plus a huge difference in the number of prims that you're able to use, because
Yeah.
obviously in different festivals have a
Right.
different format and different space
hmm
available. But the fact that you have a whole grid and so many different sims, that really does let people, off the chain to go crazy. But the
Yep.
new thing is that you're also doing is there are teleport jumps out of the grid to go and
Yes.
actually visit places around
hmm
OpenSim. Is that right? Whose
Yes,
idea
that's
was
correct.
that?
We're doing satellite events this year, which are events that are related to what's going on in OS Fest, and they've asked to be associated with our group. And so we put them on our calendar and make a place for them on the calendar so that we're not overbooking. Like the first satellite event that's happening is going to be on Saturday the 16th at 11 a.m. grid time at Utopia Sky Grid. They're doing their big Golden Touch Theater presentation, which is phenomenal if you've never seen it. So that's going to be the first one, but there's several more scheduled throughout the 2 weeks of events.
Do the
That's a great
do,
jump
do,
forward.
do the hypergrid links to these events?
Yes, yes,
Do they are they part of your schedule, or do they?
yes.
In other words, the this grid comes to a stop, as it were, while people hypergrid out, and then they come back afterwards. Is that the idea, or is
Well,
it
the
just?
grid, the OS Fest grid remains open the entire time, but we don't schedule any official events on the Fest grid while the satellite events are going on.
Got you right. That's sort of what I was getting at. So basically, people can feel free to teleport away and then come back
Right.
after. Yeah.
Yes.
I hope the events have reciprocal teleports. So people can
Yes.
get back
Yes. We worked that out.
Yeah. Right. I was actually pointing this out to hang on. Yes, we were on the coming up stuff. The fact that people getting here, they can presumably they do you actually have accounts on the festival grid itself, or is it really all just people hypergridding in?
No, there are actually local avatars on the OS Fest grid.
Right.
Each year, like I have one there, each year it starts brand new, so you create it all over again.
Yeah.
But most of the participants, the exhibitors and merchants, are actually using their hypergrid avatars. They bring their stuff in with their suitcase,
Yeah.
and they build on the grid and prepare for it that way, for the most of it.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. Now, we probably ought to put up in the lower thirds on the channel here the actual login address, because if James is willing,
Yes,
you have an unusual port number that people
yes.
teleport in with. It's 2022 instead of 2002. Is
8022, yes.
is there any reasoning for that, or is it just um, it's the same region, isn't it? Like 20 is still it's still well. Is there a particular reason for that? A reason for that, or is that just
I have no idea.
right? Yeah, fair
I'm
enough.
not on the technical crew for the fest, so I wasn't party to those
Like,
discussions.
I think I asked Shalane about that ages ago, and she said that they thought it would be a fun way to recognize the fact that they were doing this OS Fest in 2022. So they put 8022
Oh, that's interesting.
just for
Yes.
just for fun. And it kind of is fun because it's sort of celebrating the beginning of this iteration of the
Yes.
OS Fest or Avatar Fest.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a new start, and this
Yeah.
is the year in which it's starting. And if you just make a note of it, it's pretty easy to remember. It's not
Yeah.
too difficult to remember.
And if you're following a hyperlink jump thing, you'll be okay anyway. That's funny. I
Yeah,
just
or
wonder why they
landmark.
haven't. I wonder why they haven't changed the port number again then to 2023.
Oh gosh, can you imagine? Yeah, that might be
Yeah,
that
but
might be
people
a
with the
cutesy thing too far.
people with the old link would get lost. Yeah. That's interesting.
Okay.
These are all the this still at the end of this clip actually, which is
These are the sponsors we're
Yeah.
looking at here.
this is
Yes.
unobtainium. What a great chemical name.
Yes. Yep.
This we
Yeah.
we have a little HG Safari issue there. We've got a little bit on that, but this is quite good because the video is actually finished at a point where we're actually seeing who all these people are. There's
Mhm.
Avatar, Safari, Bridgemere, Laxton Consulting, Infinite Metaverse.
There's quite a few of us.
On Zen Life, I don't know who they are.
Selby's up there. Yeah.
Selby, yeah, virtual outward,
Yep.
virtual vignettes, animated animesh. Oh, that sounds like fun.
That's one of the Kitely merchants.
Oh.
Kim Starr does that.
And custom. That I've just seen it. It says Lunaria. That's very
Yes.
psychedelic and colourful.
I'm
but
there.
it was hard to see. It was hard for me to see it.
Yep.
I just
Just
saw
look for the Egyptian buildings. You'll find
that.
it.
Yeah. There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't actually read some of the others, and being a video, I can't zoom in, which is a pain, isn't it?
Right.
Okay. Right. Now we were talking about the Zen areas. I got two. It looks like there's two Zen areas: Zen Tai Chi and Zen. Well, let's start with Zen. I mean Zen, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah, this feels familiar. When we went on safaris or something like this last year, and as we said earlier, the surroundings are very elegantly parcelled off, so that you wouldn't, you wouldn't know what was right next door. So people are getting their peace and quiet and chilling out. It does mean navigating on a tour becomes a bit difficult actually, but it's certainly a very good idea. Do you know? Is there
All kinds of
any?
new things on this time. Mal, they got all kinds of new things this time around for landmarks. When you first arrive on the OS Est grid, if you arrive
Yeah.
on the welcome area, you can get all kinds of landmarks and help to
Yes.
navigate around. I think they
Mhm.
did a really good job of
Yeah.
rethinking some of the things, because last year, yes, it's true, some people found it that they were looking all over they were looking for something specific, and it took them ages to find it. And this way, you have immediately got the landmarks, and you can look up the name of the person that you.
And there's an interactive teleport board that they've created as well at the same place, where you can click through the different places that you can visit, and simply go there.
I like when I think of chill out, I think of sort of meditation and chill out music and things like that, and possibly some intoxicants, but not beer. I'm rather curious here. This is
To
a bit
each
more
his
like
own,
this
Mal.
is a bit more like a pub than a chill out zone. Champagne you can wear, touching from the beer. What's going on here? I ask.
Yeah. Beer is a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, what happens in Ozfest remains in Ozfest, so
That's correct.
bear that in mind.
Yeah, this is the other area called Zen Tai Chi. So I guess it's actually at the top left you can see the one we just came from, so to speak. So yeah. Oh, this is very nice. I loved it. What are those things on the corners? They look like sort of psychedelic tents. And an NPC dancing there by the look of it. Or maybe it's a camera operator.
That's actually
I've just
that's
realised.
Michael there.
Oh right, okay.
He's
Okay.
dancing while he's filming.
This is
That's
now. This is
multitasking.
I'm watching our clock here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this after this one finishes. I've got a few more. Ada Radius on Sulfur. Is that a performance? Don't know. But you've also brought some images along to give us your own slideshow. So as soon as this finishes in a second, I'm going to invite you to basically we have another screen here which you already know how to operate now, so you just
Yes.
basically click through your numbered slides, and I'll leave it solely to you, as it were, to talk us through them, and then Thursday and I and James will butt in if we've got any questions. So
Oh, please butt in.
yeah, please butt in, he says. Okay, right, well, if you'd like to take over there, James can switch to that screen and you can talk
Okay.
us through the slides.
All right.
If it works, yes, and it works fine. Yeah.
Okay. Can we see it?
Yep.
Yes, we can see it fine, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So this is my exhibit on the sponsor region. It's called Luxor, and it's to promote my Luxor Regional Wolf Territories grid, which will show up in the slides shortly after this. The main thing I wanted to bring out here is that there is a memorial in the center, that little small building.
Oh, yeah.
And that memorial is to one of our friends, Barry McMaster.
Oh,
who-
yes, so shame.
Yes, she
Yeah.
passed away the end of last year. So,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I've
that's
set up
sweet.
a memorial there for her that anyone can come and visit.
That's nice. I think we've been here on safari a couple of times, but that was probably before the memorial was there. Am I right, Tess? We've been.
I think we haven't been to this build because this is probably something new, but we've been to something
Yes.
that looks similar. And I'm pretty sure, am I right in saying, Luna, that there is actually in the OS Fest calendar, there's actually on, I think it's the second Monday, there's a special
Yes.
event for Very, which is
Yes, there is.
super
And they'll be
nice.
visiting this spot here.
And of course, anybody can look at the OS Fest calendar on the website, but also if you look on opensim World, the events should all be popping up, so people
Right.
can go and look on that as well.
This right here is the inside of the memorial, so you can see what it looks like on the inside.
Right, it's much bigger than it's like it's like the TARDIS, isn't it? I saw this small little memorial, but actually it's big. It's just it's surrounded by even more gigantic structures.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we have a lot of pictures from her in there, from her profile, and people are starting to leave little gifts and mementos there in memory of Barry. And there's a nice little song that plays there the whole time. It's not a stream, so you just make sure your sounds are turned up, and you'll hear it after a little bit. Okay, switching gears. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Luxor region. I know HG Safari is coming there end of September, the 27th, I believe.
Yep.
Yep. So this is Luxor, and you guys have been here before, I think, unofficially,
That's
a year or
true.
so ago.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
remember
Yeah.
the name for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's built up quite a bit since then.
really?
It was the second
There's
hour
a
of
lot
safari,
here,
so James may not remember it because it was the second hour of safari.
remember
and by
being
then
there.
he's
I
pretty
was
far
there.
gone. Oh,
Yeah.
you are? How you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
after
it
he
was
sat
pretty-
on pretty much everything in the first hour, I always
Everything I
worry
could,
about
right.
This seems to have
Yeah.
this has more of a feel of mythical about it, whereas the other
Yeah.
is kind of Egyptian and whatever. You know,
Right.
you've got the pyramid here, you've got what looks like a sort of teleport beam heading to a nearby star system, probably. You know.
Yeah, there were a lot of influences that went into
Yeah.
Luxor, not just Egyptian. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. More mythical.
Yeah. Oh, it's very colourful too.
That's the beauty of opensim, isn't it? That you, as an artist, you can you take your inspiration and then just fly with it in any direction you wish.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
I
I love
always
that
love
part.
the way you light things so very beautifully. I think that's one of the most charming things I find in your builds.
Oh, thank you.
Doesn't
That
matter
was very
how big or
nice.
small it is, you just always have the lighting perfect, and it makes it come to life.
It's the
To me,
lighting.
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is the lighting like environment settings, or is it actually
Yes,
light?
it's a combination of things.
Yeah.
I start by creating an environment like this environment here has its own unique sun texture up there in the sky,
Right.
and I set the lighting to bring out best what I'm doing here. There's a lot of smaller sub lighting that you see in different places, all tending toward the yellow spectrum. And so I wanted to let those spots of light in different places really pop out.
Yeah.
So the overall environment is set lower so that those can be seen better.
Yeah, I'm very. I always love it when I've I've done it myself. Imagine you've got a cave, it's a set of some sort, and making invisible prims with projector light on them, so that the wall of the cave is blue on one side and yellow on the other, and
Yes.
together.
Yes.
It's nothing to do with
Yeah.
environmental settings. It's all in the objects and the projectors.
Yes.
Um,
Now I use materials textures for everything I make. Every surface has at least 2 to 3 layers of texture on it.
oh,
To bring out not just shine, but to bring out details in the texture as well. And
Right.
they all reflect light differently. So if I have multiple points of light, especially different colors, all of those colors can be seen reflecting off of those surfaces. As in this case here. So,
Lovely.
yep.
Yeah.
So you have the sphinxes, they're blue and they have blue lights, and you have the pyramid and the torches there with yellow. So I love
So
all
can I
of the
ask you,
different.
what do you use technology-wise? What are your favorite programs for making textures?
My favorite one for textures is GIMP. It's an open source program, very, very similar to Adobe Photoshop. Has that same capability. So
And
I
it's
love using that one. It's just
and it's cross-platform, which is very good.
yes,
on
yes.
that.
And
It's,
can I
it's
ask you a
great.
question about GIMP then? Because a
Sure.
lot of people, myself included, used GIMP many, many years ago and found it, it's okay, but they didn't fall in love with it. Has it evolved? Has it developed? And
Oh
does it
yes,
have,
yes,
yeah?
I,
Oh
yes.
I,
gosh,
They
so I need to
regularly
get back
update
in
it.
there.
I got an update for Game Pool within the last week, and it's
Good.
not Photoshop, but it's damn close.
Yes, there's a lot of capability now compared to the older versions a few years ago.
To be
Good
honest,
job.
I used to teach people Photoshop or train, art directors and things, and
Mhm.
fun, and I liked it. But I find it now looking at it, it's one of these programs where they can't stop. They've got to add everything under the sun into it for some of the
Yes.
stuff and whatever. And I look at it now and I think, God, if I was called out at a moment's notice to teach somebody how to use the latest Photoshop, I wouldn't have a clue. Whereas I
Yep.
used to be really
Mhm.
popular, on request. So, um, yeah, I
It's the
mean,
same with all of these programs. I use Blender for 3D modeling,
yeah,
and oh my gosh, that thing
I
changes
think it could cook
completely
your
every couple
dinner,
of
couldn't
years.
it?
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
It could probably iron your shirts as well if you asked it.
Yeah.
I mean, GIMP
Yep.
by contrast is still quite simple, I think, or it seems
Yeah.
it is.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
use it much anymore, but it's there.
You
So,
don't have
yeah.
to use every command in the software.
But
Mm.
I like the fact that the one thing that puts a lot of people off Photoshop now is it's online. So
Oh
it's not
God,
that
yeah,
you
that's
resent the money. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money. Nobody resents the money. It's that you don't have it on your computer. I think a
yeah.
lot of people like to have their programs on their computer so they can, you know, use it
I
Yeah.
anytime they want. They don't have to
Right.
think, oh, did I pay the subscription? So
I'm one of
yeah,
those.
yeah,
I
I'm the same. I
I
mean, it's
I
still a
don't
lot
use
of
anything.
money for crying out loud, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't use Photoshop now for that reason. Actually, to be honest, if it,
Mhm.
if Adobe servers went down, oh God, about a year ago or something, and like
Did they?
the
Gosh.
damage to the design community because people could not use Photoshop for however
Yeah.
Oh,
long
that's
Adobe was
crazy.
offline. You can't work
Wow.
out that way. It's the same with the Netflix and all these other things, Oh, and
Hmm.
the fastball
Hmm.
particularly, it is a fast. They go down, and the major news is Facebook's gone down. Everybody's hanging on watching the TV news to hear when Facebook's
Desperately
coming
hoping
back.
it'll come back. Yes.
It's not
Don't
on.
jump. It'll come back.
Yeah. No, I got lots of software, but it's all offline. I mean, sure, I'm doing this show live on a web page kind of thing, or partially so, but it's that's for function, for the output. If I want to do images, I don't download it from the web.
I'm with you. My
Yeah,
programs are all offline as well. I love it.
yeah,
Same.
yeah. And
So
then
this is beautiful. So you've always built Egyptian things from when you
No,
began.
this no, this
How did you
started.
get into that then? Yeah, I'm curious.
It was something I always wanted to do, but never had a big enough canvas to do it on. So when Wolf Territories opened up and every region was a 4x4, I was like, okay, all right, I can try it with this size of a region. And it started about a year and a half ago with a couple of simple prims and grew into what it is now. So
Wow.
As remarkable, we've had Wolf on the show, of course, and
oh yes,
he's doing there very much a leading grid now, I think you could say, and sort of
Oh yeah.
big differences from the norm, so to speak.
I love being there. It's had its growing pains, but I'm glad I stuck with it. And like I said, it's just been a great place to create on. And the other thing I like about that particular grid is that all the regions are connected. So I can get in a boat or a plane or whatever and just go explore
Yeah.
without worrying about running into region crossings. So
Yes, that's yeah. Old story. I laugh at the fact that occasionally, if I have to go back into Second Life, I mean, apart from the lag, some of the region crossings they're still so inferior.
yeah, it's like Second Life mainland without the band line. So
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So
No,
Now
show us
this
another
is
picture. Yeah, go ahead. Another one.
this is the Lotus Club. This is where we're going to have an inaugural event on October 14th, I think it is. Let me look.
Yes, that's right.
Yes,
Yeah,
it'll be
you
on
told me.
Saturday, October 14th. We're going to do it there. Austin Moores is going to be performing live, and that'll be the first event we have here. This is at the top of the big pyramid, and so just to give you an idea of what the inside of it looks like. So
Gosh, it's beautiful.
I pulled all the stops on this one. I used every texture trick in my book on
believe
this.
Yeah.
and again, you've got the contrasting color palettes of
Yes.
the pool here in the foreground.
Yes.
Yes.
It's in such contrast to the rest of it, and it's just that little hint of it, just yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
yeah.
So how did you get into making textures? Is that something you in your
It
real
started
life you
in
did beforehand or what?
it started in Second Life actually. I spent my first 2 years in Second Life just exploring and doing the usual social stuff that everybody does. And after 2 years, I got tired of spending 14,000 lindens for a castle, so I decided I would build my own.
Yeah.
That was going to be the first thing I tried to make. Oh my gosh. Took me forever, but I did it. And for the first while, I would get my textures on the market or in texture stores or places like that. And they just, after a while, they just weren't working for me. I wasn't finding what I really wanted to do. So started doing my own after that point and never looked back. So,
Yeah, it's funny. Textures are so easy to make and fiddle with. I've never quite understood the
yes,
popularity in selling them because, they're
right.
I they buy a slab of marble, but I used to take like photographs of something like a leaf. The olfactory program zoom into
Oh
the
my
leaf,
gosh.
whatever.
I've used every trick there is to try to create textures.
Yeah, but it's just the texture of something natural like a leaf, or you take it at random. It's it works. It's original then too. You can
Right.
that trick. You can flip it sideways and then flip the two down, and you've got a seamless texture anyway because you angle four
Yeah.
points.
Yeah. I don't always start out with my own textures from scratch. There's a number of textures that I source from legitimate sources with the right licenses attached to them. like the textures that you see on the two big columns there.
Yeah.
Those were sourced from a site like that, and of course, then I do my own thing with it. I
Yeah.
add the normal maps and the specular maps and all the rest that make it pop. And,
Yeah, that's what we used to call bump map, isn't it?
yes, they're
And you
called
could,
normal maps now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, you depending on the height the height of the bumps in the texture,
Yeah,
then
and I have different.
the
I'm
lights you
sorry. Go
put
ahead.
on. Yeah, depending on the height of the bumps, the lights you shine on them.
Yes, and I
Just
have a different kind of normal map that I created that nobody else uses. And what it does, it only allows the metals to pop out, to shine, and
right.
keeps everything else muted. So it actually begins to look like metal as close as you can come to an open sim, since
Yeah.
there's no PBR here yet. So.
Have you tried using something like Midjourney or other AI to do some texture work?
Yes, I played with Midjourney for a while,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, that's interesting, and then moved.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I've done some of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a swings and roundabouts thing, isn't it? Some
Yeah.
people think it's absolutely
mhm.
fantastic, others are very apprehensive. But
This is a lovely one. Yes, look at that.
Yes, this is the harbor
Fantastic.
of Luxor. Yep. I
yes.
just wanted a big harbor or entrance where people could boat in from the rest of the grid, and this would be the first thing you would see when you came in. So
That is
Do
an
you have
impressive.
sounds
That's
on
an
these
impressive
builds?
gate. Oh, sorry.
yes,
Oh,
yeah, there's sound everywhere. It's part of the layers of the build. So
fantastic.
That's
It's
a
a
really
really immersive
it's an
situation.
impressive gate. It's an impressive gateway as well with those giant
mhm, mhm.
Lovely.
looming at you. You know, the
Yeah,
scale. I mean, that I think is a thing you couldn't possibly in the real world create an environment with that sense of scale.
yeah,
Could you? I mean,
yeah. Once you get in
obviously
close,
the
yeah, you can see
Egyptians,
some of it. Yeah,
yeah, the Egyptians obviously built some of this stuff, but I mean, you know, when it's virtual, you just have the freedom to expand that scale to.
exactly.
It's
And
like
that was the reason for waiting to do Egyptian, because I wanted to be able to do scale like this.
right, of
There's
course.
just something about walking into a very detailed, expansive space that speaks to you spiritually, and I really wanted to do that. So
Excellent.
Yeah, tricks of scale. Oh, yes, that's another.
this is the hyper gate that's there.
I was going to say, what the lightning bring you? You
It's
ride
just
the
an effect.
you ride the lightning to another grid.
That's actually a sprite, so that lightning
alive.
moves. You can't
Oh,
see it
boy.
here, but it moves.
Yeah.
And then
I,
the two gates there take you to different places. One to my store, and one to the Wolf Territories Welcome region.
I discovered something. I think it was on Safari the other day, actually. And I've seen some people were wearing when they teleported in, they sort of phased in about a bit Star Trekky.
Oh, that's kayaker. That's his.
Yes,
Whenever he
that's his.
teleports somewhere, that effect
I
happens.
want one of those.
Yep.
I'm sure James does too.
Kayaker does that. She's right. Yeah. Hit him up. He'll give it to you or sell it to you.
I'm sure he
Yeah,
would.
it's
Yeah.
the.
So
it's
tell
still
us
small.
your story, Luna. So your experience in OpenSim. Obviously, you started in Second Life, and then is that right that you were in Inworlds, and then when you first discovered OpenSim? So what
Yes, I
pushed
started
you to
in.
try Inworlds and not just stay in Second Life?
Inworlds was interesting. I was in Second Life building, and I had built this castle in Second Life. And a friend of mine, in fact, there was a group of friends, came and saw the castle building, like, can you bring that into Inworlds? And I'm like, what is Inworlds? Is that another region on Second Life? No, this is outside Second Life. So that was my first experience hypergridding out of Second Life and onto a completely different grid. So I came over to Inworlds, and they're like, can you bring your castle over here? And I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
And so that was my first attempt at bringing objects out of Second Life and into another grid, and it was successful, and it was in Inworlds for some time until the Inworlds grid closed down. I didn't go back into opensim for a little while. My friends came back to me after Inworlds closed and said, "Hey, we found this other grid." And so they would bring me to a grid and we would get over there and I would start making stuff and something would happen to the owner and the grid would close. That happened twice and I'd lose everything.
Yeah, not fun.
And so the third time they asked me, I'm like, okay, guys, this is the last time. I'm not doing this anymore after this. So they brought me over to a grid called opensim Life, which was Bill Blight's
Yeah.
grid.
Sure, we did Safari there many times.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I fell in love with it, and that's where I first
Bill is a good
decided,
guy.
okay, I'm going to really get serious about creating an opensim. And the first thing I realized is that it's not like Second Life where you can just go on the market or to a store and pick up the mesh components that you would use in your builds or buy your textures or what. None of that was around. So you had to create everything. And so that's what I started doing. And my first store opened on Bill's grid. And then eventually he had a heart attack and had to retire. And so since then, instead of locating on one grid, I'm now on multiple. I'm on Mobius grid, I'm on Kitely, Wolf Territories, and smaller presences on like Utopia and DigiWorlds and places like that.
Yeah, it's good to
Could
be
almost-
nimble
you could
in
almost have a
opensim. You never know
safari.
what's going to happen.
You could,
No,
yeah,
you don't.
it's a safe bet actually having multiple ones. But I just think you could have a safari-like quest between all your regions on all your different grids,
Yes,
a closed circuit safari. You know.
yes, yes.
No, it's wonderful. Right, I'm just angling the time here. I think we've been on air about an hour now, so we should. Let's move on. Are we at the end of your size or no? Here we are. A few more.
That's
Yeah,
a pretty one.
I'll go ahead and get it wrapped up. These are just different places on Luxor. Some places have teleport boards to get to, some don't. Like this spot here, you have to actually walk around to find it. If you're flying, you won't see it. So
Yeah.
I've hidden places like that around the region to reward those who are a little bit more patient and like to explore. So you can get
See,
here by
I
boat.
like that. I like that
Yeah.
what you just said, because you see, I was talking about this with somebody the other day, and they were complaining. They said, if a person comes to my region and they try flying around or they jump around and they don't walk through the region, I eject them. Well,
Don't go to that
I
route.
can, but I can understand. I can understand the feeling that you've made this place, and you wish that people, if they're not going to enjoy it, then you don't want them there. I guess I can relate to that, because we all like to be appreciated. But I think your approach is a lot smarter, because
Yeah.
it's then everybody gets out of the place, you know, according to their intelligence, according to the amount of time they have available, their tastes, and all these other factors.
Right.
It's very hard to legislate other people
I-
visiting your sim.
I
Yeah,
usually,
the favorite. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but just saying I don't build that much anymore. But when I had my own sort of huge fireplace, basically everything I approach nowadays, I approach with, apart from the fact instead of the land, I use mesh shapes, right, to make the landscape. But I also put the default layer at like the ground level above the ground, so that I'm free to make caverns and things underneath, which because
Mhm.
you go drop down lower than the land level. So I
Yep.
bet
Yep.
every build is well above sea level, as it were. So you've got the underground to use if you want, but it's the same thing. I mean, I actually work from the sky, you know, in camera mode. But and then I come down and see what the mess I made and actually explore it. You know, those don't fit properly. Those don't fit properly. I've got an ideal cave, you know. But
Now,
I think it's
So
that
what's your
thing
yeah?
of when
It's,
you're flying around, you can conceal things underground and stuff. And you know, unless people are on the ground and they're walking around, they won't find the steps that take them under.
what's your strategy, Luna? How do you consider it when you have visitors? How do you handle that?
I don't try to restrict visitors in any way other than unless they're there to be a griefer of some type. But
Sure.
I've always had most of my visitors are very respectful. I let them explore however they want to explore. If they want to fly around and jump from place to place or use their camera, that's fine, but they'll miss things. There's several spots where I have certain songs and music playing a certain environment. So if you cam in, you can't hear it or see it. So it rewards those who actually go over there. I have other spots that can only be appreciated and seen from a boat. So I have docks and boats everywhere so that you can tool around in one of those. In fact, I've had at least two groups I've seen of 4 or more people show up and they'll jump in the boat and they'll just go exploring and they'll be there for an hour or more, just
Right.
tooling around and having a blast. So, and then they'll send me pictures later. That's the fun part.
That's lovely.
Now, this is the newest part of Luxor here. This is the last part that I'm building. This is another temple area. So this will be like a temple of light. There'll be a lot going on inside of it. So,
And
but it's
that,
been fun.
it looks like the slices there defy gravity.
Yes.
That-
Now, of course, I have more than just Luxor. This is my store region. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I think you guys have visited my store on
Yes,
Safari.
yeah.
So.
You did, yeah. I have
Yeah,
a,
so
a
there's
GIF
a
of
lot
you skating in your store. Which,
Yes. I love to skate. There's another region that I've started called Starbase. This is another 4x4. That little
Oh, wow.
boat down there has got me in it. So this is pretty large, pretty big place. You know, that's the landing point right there underneath it all. So, so yeah, I'll eventually build this out when I'm done with Luxor, and it'll become a spaceport, is what it'll end up being.
You've
Beautiful.
it's interesting from the little bits of you've been showing us there. The feel of this was
Yes,
actually very different from Luxor
I
and
love texture. I love
yeah.
texture.
I mean, gone is all the gold and
Right.
that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And this
Every
is
place has its own theme and its own feel. So I don't like doing the same thing over and over.
oh god, no, don't tell me.
And
Do
that
it
was the
once,
last slide on mine.
right? Okay, that's
Absolutely
lovely.
beautiful.
So I'll start the actually well, there's 2 more here. This is Vortex, I think, which is um, Vortex immersion. Is this yeah, seems to be Vortex at OS Fest 23. It actually got a feeling of a performance area, but it's obviously not the stage area. So I rather like the look of this, I must say. Full dome films. So have you ever done anything like this where you put video textures on things like a whole dome and try to get it to wrap around?
I need to talk to this guy. I'm building a theater right now. So
Oh right, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure it's another one of his other films, but well,
that's pretty
It's
cool.
the Vortex region. Apparently. Oh, hang on, Vortex. Well, it says OS Fest 23, but actually that wouldn't be a region because it's not a chemical.
Yeah, it's an exhibit.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Well, it's a good one. Yeah.
Well, we have 2 whole weeks to explore every last little corner of OS Fest, beginning on Friday. So yeah, make a note, Mal, and you can go down there and take a look.
Reminds me of the
Oh, yeah.
Sphere in
Get
Las
in there at
Vegas.
some point. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Good.
And let's just see. This one's
It's
eight.
Ada's. Yep.
It's this. Has this actually got music on it or something? I think it probably has because it's
Yeah, Ada Radius did that particular exhibit.
right. Oh, so right. I don't know why I thought she was a performer as well. So I thought it was.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't
she
think
was with
Ada's
that-
performing. I
Yeah.
might be
Not,
wrong.
not here, but you probably remember her from the Avatar Repertory Company.
Ah, yeah.
We
Yeah,
are
she
old
also
beats.
works
We all
with the
remember each
Ruth
other
2
from.
project. Yeah.
We all remember each other from way back when. We're just all too old.
I remember.
Only in open sim, we're really very
yeah.
young.
That's right.
All right. Well, I think we've had a pretty good look at all this stuff anyway. Right. James, filming and all that stuff, you've been fairly quiet. Anything you particularly like to ask
No,
Luna?
nothing specific. I had the AI question, and I'm just sitting back and enjoying the images. They're great.
Yeah.
You know, I had the pleasure of going to the British Museum last week, and the Egyptian collection there is fantastic. And I just that's all resonating with what I'm seeing in Lunaria.
Oh, that's cool.
It's great. Yeah.
Next
Nice work.
time you have to come here to Italy and visit the Turin Egyptian
Oh
Museum.
my goodness. Okay. So many things to
Got
do.
even more than the British Museum.
Oh, it does. Okay. All right. The British Museum had a
yeah.
lot.
That's another project in my bucket list, is to create an entire Roman Atlantean type region. So
Cool.
Yeah.
I have a spot set aside for it, but
Just the time.
That's it.
Shortage of research on that. Actually, I watched a really appalling movie last night, which is supposed to be aliens and Atlantis and something or other. And oh
oh
god,
my god.
it was so awful. But where do you go to research Atlantis? You know, except for the, you know, so just
You
total
don't. I'll come up with my own
your own
stick on it.
Atlantis.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I do like your Prince graphic on your T-shirt. That's awesome.
oh, thank you.
Oh,
That was from the Kiteley Market.
Okay, very good.
yeah,
The one on Apelles is from the Kiteley Market, and so is the one Luna's wearing.
Okay, nice.
I should make some too. There's a guy on Pinterest. There's a great. I think there's more than one, but there's a whole section of caricatures of rock stars and things, and that you know,
Mhm.
lots of the Stones, and then the really big stars, and Prince, of course. And,
Right.
but they make great T-shirts now. I think about it. You know, not in real, of course. You know, just virtual T-shirts. I was.
Virtual lives.
I was telling Thursday the other day about when we did our news program on Sansar, when our grid was down here. You used to come on every week with a different T-shirt,
Yeah.
and I was saying, well, we really ought to start having you do that here as well.
You know, I'm promoting
Yeah,
Open
T-shirt.
Simulator. Right.
T-shirt of the week, you know.
Yep.
It was fun. It was fun, especially some of those moving T-shirts and things.
Yeah,
So
those are good.
anyway, that's a whole other matter. So, anything else, Lena? That I mean, well, anything we've forgotten about Earthfest, obviously, but also anything you plan on doing in the future that is exciting you?
No, you've really gave me the time to cover most of what I wanted to cover. Of course, I'm involved in a lot of other things outside of OpenSim, but I really enjoy what I'm doing inside OpenSim right now. So that's pretty
Sure.
cool.
Yeah. Well, it all looks pretty
And
magnificent.
hopefully you'll
great.
come back in the future and tell us and show us some more stuff, especially as you finish these other builds that you
Oh, absolutely.
kind of
Yep.
hinted to us about. Looking forward to seeing that.
I'll talk about my stuff all day long if you let me. So,
Excellent.
That's what this show's about.
Okay, well, I think we better wrap because we used to be very open-ended, but
We used to
we've
be,
we've been tied down, disciplined, and told to constrain ourselves with the length, you know.
Yep.
So I'd like to thank our guests. I would like to thank our guests, our first double whammy person avatar thing. How did I introduce it at the beginning?
gotta throw a wrench in there somewhere, Mal.
Yeah,
No, it's the soul twins.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it is. Two
Yeah,
people,
that-
but one beating heart.
Two sides of
Yeah.
the same coin. Which
Right.
is it?
Exactly.
Yes.
Luna
Yeah.
is Luna is tails, and Apelles.
Don't even go there, Mal.
Anyway, so thank you, Apelles.
Please don't go there, Mal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Apelles, and thank you very much, Luna Lunaria, for being our guest today. Best of luck with all the projects, and look forward to seeing what you've been doing over there on the OS Fest too.
Thank you so much for having me. I really loved being here.
Okay, wonderful having you too. So there we go. Right. Also, my thanks, of course, to my wonderful co-host, Thirza Ember. Thank you, Thirza.
It's great to be back. I'm really looking forward to this whole next season of shows. It's going to be lovely. Thanks for having me here.
It is. We just had to come back, didn't we? We missed it. We so missed it. No more holidays from now on to eternity. And thank you to James too, for all technical stuff and chatting with us as well. So thank you, James.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure. Thank you, Mal.
And we will be back with another program this time next week. I forget who we got planned, but I'm not going to give it away anyway. We want to keep the surprise, don't we? Do join us. Do join us on Wednesday, as Thessa mentioned at the start of the show. We have the second of the new season of Safari, meeting our OS grid at the region called HG Safari, believe it or not, and that's at it's 9 p.m. European time and it's noon Pacific time, and if you're somewhere else, you can figure it out for yourselves. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, everybody, and it's a wrap. Bye for now.